when this is coming out. So happy that. Happy whatever day it is. So, I try to just present my podcast very authentically. There's zero editing whatsoever except for putting music at the start and at the end of these things. But I don't really listen to it before I post it, and even afterward I might only listen to a few minutes of it or whatever, because it's I was there, I don't need to hear it all over again. But I did listen to last week's, and I just was wow, what a tone. I sounded really, I feel I sounded angry. Hold on, I have something. I felt I had plastic in my mouth. I don't know what that was. I felt I sounded a little bit shitty in a way that I was certainly not meaning. Here's the thing. I'm extremely expressive. Verbally, I'm expressive. Intonationally, I'm expressive. Facially, I'm very expressive. So it's hard because it seems I have no chill. I really don't, but it really comes across even more so when you can see and hear me. But I also I think I can come across way more intense than is my intention, which is just story of my life. But I just want to share with you that if I think you'll know when I'm angry, but in case you don't, if we're just sort of getting to know each other, I'm not angry at all. I actually really enjoy making this podcast, even though there's 4 people that listen to it. Shout out to those 4 people. But I enjoy it because it's very self-indulgent to just talk about whatever you want, completely uninterrupted for at least an hour. As I'm speaking, as the words are leaving my mouth in this very moment, I'm realizing this is probably what therapy is like. So, do I owe you a check? What's your going rate for therapy sessions these days? Are you licensed? It probably doesn't matter. So it's a great way for me to just unleash, unload, unwind, unhinge, and it rejuvenates me. It feeds my soul. So thanks for that. But I just wanted to share it because I feel this is one of those things that you can never really, it's so hard for you to see yourself from an outer body perspective or hear yourself. And this has been helpful for that. I could really understand why people could watch themselves back on reality TV and be holy shit, who is that monster? I would 100% have that experience. I know that I would. But regardless, just wanted to get that out there. Okay, so this week I want to talk about food again. I think we talked about nutrition already, but this week I actually want to talk about food, cooking, specifically preparing food and all those kind of ins and outs. But before we get there, let's just chat. What's been going on? So Selena Gomez put out a new album, and I'm a little late to the party here. I think it was actually about a month ago, but I'm just catching up. So it's great. I love it. And I'm surprised by it because I don't fancy myself much of a a teeny bopper type of a pop music fan. Of course I like pop music because I have ears, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find a single person on the planet who truly and genuinely doesn't like any form of pop. But I love Lady Gaga. Very big fan of Lizzo. Taylor Swift, we've talked about, isn't musically one of my favorites, but I can fucks with a Taylor Swift bop or a ditty here and again. I love a Real Housewife single, a Housewife EP, if you will. So those are great. But it's the people that are way younger than me, I'm just not I don't get down with. To this day, I could not even name a single One Direction song. I'm not exaggerating. I don't fucking know any One Direction songs. Who else is popular with the children? I don't listen to Justin Bieber at all. His music pretty fucking boring, in my opinion. What else? You know what? I do enjoy Billie Eilish. Here's my take on Billie Eilish. While I think she is extraordinarily talented right now, I feel like Sophia from Golden Girls. Like Sicily, picture it, Sicily, 1938. Well, I don't know why I'm doing some kind of like weird New York accent for her, but regardless, I feel like a soothsayer, but it's like Sophia, but it's like a forward-looking version. Okay, picture it, 2029. Billie Eilish hasn't put out a new album in 4 years since she had a tremendous falling out with her brother and co-creator and oftentimes collaborator Phineas. And Phineas has basically dropped off the face of the planet. He moved off to like Thailand or fucking Pacoima, and really hasn't really made much music, has been doing a lot of volunteer. He's like off the map. They've had a massive falling out, and ever since, Billie Eilish has struggled to like make a comeback. She went through a quick little stint, sort of like circa Britney Spears 2007 breakdown style, and did the pop star thing, you know, scantily clad, shaking her ass. Like, you remember when Jewel did that back in like, what was it, 1999, 2000? And she's like, follow your heart, your intuition. And then you could like shave your legs with a razor named after one of her songs. And she was like wearing a bra top and like doing a jig, like an Alaskan jig. It's like that, you know? It's like, why is this happening to my eyes? So she did that, and it's been, 4 years since she's had a real hit, and she's about to perform at the Grammys, and she's like sort of getting back on it, but everybody, like, jury is out. She's going to premiere a new song, and this could be it. This could be the final nail in her coffin. That's my hot take on Billie Eilish. Does it make sense to you? I think it does. I think you know what I'm laying down here. So, while I enjoy a good Billie Eilish whisper song, like, you're my boyfriend, but I will kill you in the dark. Like, that's her vibe. And I enjoy it now. I just don't know if it's going to A, stand the test of time, B, if she will continue to evolve. But you know what? I say that not because I want to see that. It's my vision. It's my psychosis. It's my psychicsness. What is it when you, whatever. It's me being psychic. I'm a soothsayer. But I hope she does well. She's a child. Well, not anymore. She's 18, but she's basically a child. So I wish her well. But yeah, I just don't typically like get into like that kind of former Disney star pop music. But I really like Selena Gomez. And it's only today / last night that I'm like realizing this about myself. She had an album that came out in 2015, and I remember it because it was the first year I was living in Charlottesville / Crozet, and there was one song, Can't Keep My Hands to Myself, that they would play in Pure Barre class. Like I'd be working out, and that would be one of the stretch songs, and I just like loved that song, and I would just jam the shit out to that song. You know who else had a really good album that year? Also poppy? Carly Rae Jepsen, Emotion. Wow. That whole album, start to finish, every single tune on that album is a banger. Like, it's perfect. It's so good. And Carly Rae Jepsen is also extremely underrated, I think. Like, she gets a little bit of flack because of Call Me Maybe, and just like, oh, like it's just cotton candy fluff heroin pop for the ears. And it is, but that's kind of her genius. To think about it. Everyone thinks like, oh, I could be a one-hit wonder. It's like, that's so easy. It's like, it's fucking not. Making music's really hard. Not only is the writing and the producing of music, I'm sure, extremely difficult. fuck if I know. I'll never try. I have no interest. This is not my art. I'm not creative in that way. But from what I can gather, it's probably extremely difficult. But not only that, but then you've got to navigate the shark-infested waters that are white men in the music industry. You know, wading your way through one dick here and another penis here, and someone else who wants to wear your panties over here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just gross. So if you can navigate those dangerous waters and also make the music yourself versus someone like giving you the song to sing, then boy, you got talent pouring out of every orifice in your body. And that's how I feel about Carly Rae Jepsen. And also, she wrote the music for what was that Broadway musical? I want to say, hold on, I'm going to look it up. I want to say Waitress. Let's see. Carly Rae Jepsen musical. She wrote music for, I take it back. I think she starred in a musical. Hold on. Let me just try. Musical's not working. Broadway. What happens when I do that? Cinderella. She was Cinderella in Cinderella. It's not the same as writing music, but whatever. Anyway, she was great. 2015 was the year for music. Well, maybe that's not what everyone would agree with, but in my mind, it was just a very, like, one of those years where I have a lot of associations with the music because it was like a big life change for me. So she had this great album. Selena Gomez had this great album in 2015. I don't even know what it was called, but it had the Hands to Myself song and then like some others. Who knows? Remember the days where you actually knew not just the name of a song you liked, but also how long it was and which track it was on an album. Do you remember those days? Because you actually had to buy a CD and then you would like open the booklet and go through and like try to learn all the lyrics, because like 90% of the time the lyrics would be in the CD booklet, and then like the 10% of the times it wasn't. It was just like, why is it just like a picture close up of like a beer can and a trash can? Why is this what I get when I'm trying to learn the fucking lyrics? This is all pre-Googling anything you wanted. Oh gosh, dark days. So, she's got this new album out and it's called Rare. And unfortunately, it's not about steak, but it is very good. And I'm listening to the songs. I've only gone through it a couple of times. I imagine by the time this comes out, I will have increased that number to like 300 times, because Kyle is out of town until Thursday. So I'm officially full on feral. I am a wild woman there are no rules. My home is a lawless place where I stay up until 2:45 in the morning and I sleep until 6 a.m. and I don't eat until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Times are wild. Who knows what he'll come back to on Thursday night, but whatever it is, it won't be good. So I'm going to listen to that on fucking repeat. We have to talk about, in movies or TV shows, actors when they have a scene where they're like driving a car, but like they're driving, but they aren't looking at the road at all. Do you know what I'm talking about? It drives me cuckoo bananas. No pun intended. Zing! But I can't stand it. There's a show on HBO that we're watching called The Outsider, and if you haven't seen it, I would say it's one of those, it comes in real hot. It starts really, really strong with a good Jason Bateman starring role, and also he directed it. And I fucking love Jason Bateman. I get my dick hard thinking about Jason Bateman. Here's why. Jason Bateman is like perfect. He's like I'm reaching here. He is like approaching perfect, but not perfect. You know what I mean? Like he is what's the word? Not approachable, but I think I could land Jason Bateman. Do you know what I mean? Like he is achievable. He is not like Brad Pitt or my ultimate favorite, Jake Gyllenhaal, right? And poor Jakey is probably gay. I don't want to get into it. I can't really think about it. But I don't necessarily know that. I mean, look, I have a lot of self-confidence. Like, could I fuck those guys? Yes, I'm sure I could. But date seriously, on the other hand, maybe not. Maybe I don't have enough appeal in that way for like a long-term meaningful relationship. Jason Bateman, on the other hand, like I feel like we could have a beautiful life together. Well, maybe not now, like he's definitely in his 50s. But like maybe like 15 years ago, not even 8 years ago, me and Jason Bateman could have had a beautiful, beautiful life together. He's funny, like his body's nice, but it's not like great. He's like a normal-ish kind of a guy. He's got a great face. He always had. He has great hair, full and lush. I feel like he's progressive when it comes to like thinking about gender roles. Like he's not going to be threatened by a woman with a big personality. This is all things I just like want to be true. And Jason, if you're listening, hi, and also feel free to let me know if you're into it. But the point is, so watching The Outsider, Jason Bateman will start it off. He will get you all tingly in all the right places. And the show is good. Don't get me wrong. I want to watch it every week. I'm like into the story, but it sort of takes a kind of a hard left turn. I felt like in episode, I don't know, like 4. I don't really remember, but it's like halfway through, you kind of are like, oh, okay. It is based on a Stephen King book or something short story. I don't fucking know what Stephen King writes, but it's a Stephen King story. So, that'll kind of like give a little bit of it away, I guess, in terms of genre. But there's a really good actor. So outside of Jason Bateman, there's another really good actor in the show. He was the guy that played the fucked up druggy brother on that, was it Netflix? What was that? Oh, shit. I'm having such a brain fart today. Hold on. I just keep a lot of random information in my head, and so sometimes it's like it gets too full and I have to like empty shit out, Let's find out what this guy was in. He is an Australian actor. I know that. See, I'm telling you, I know like random dumb shit that really doesn't serve me any purpose. Hold on. Just hang on. Okay, his name is Ben Mendelsohn. That's the actor. And he was in the show Bloodline. Okay. I don't remember what channel that was on. It was like Netflix or like Amazon Prime or Hulu or one of those type. Netflix. I'm looking at it now. Anyway, so this actor, he's very good. He's so good. You would never know he was Australian. Except for the fact that he just like has a kangaroo next to him at all times. Whew, wow, that was bad. I should edit that out. That's bad. But he is in the show, main character, and he's driving a vehicle. This is last night's episode. No, 2 nights ago, Sunday. He is driving the car, and it's like one of those country roads, no less. So there's not even multiple lanes. It's like if you swerve out of your lane whatsoever, you're either going like hood first into the forest, or you're going to veer off and into oncoming traffic. It's like those are your 2 options. So attention to the road is pretty important. And they show like these aerial shots, so it's like windy. The guy, there's another character sitting in the passenger seat, and like the whole fucking scene, all he's doing is looking at her. And I'm like, bro, eyes on the road. You can have a conversation that I can believe is with the person sitting next to you without you looking at her for a solid 3 minutes. It made my palms sweat. And also angry because he's not the only person that does it. Now, look, pay attention. Now that I've mentioned it, I want you to pay careful attention. Every time you're looking at a movie or a show or watching it, maybe you're just looking at it, I don't know. But if you watch these things, you're going to notice some actors, even very, very good ones, will every now and again make this odd decision or this choice that the director isn't coming down hard enough on to just act like physics and gravity and math aren't real, and you can drive without looking at the road. And they're not driving Teslas. So you can't come at me with that excuse. It chaps my ass. Like, I hate that. It's just a pet peeve, and it's fresh on the top of my mind. Okay, what else is happening? So this weekend, my business, we're doing an open house. Open houses are actually so much fucking work. You would think you're just like, oh yeah, we'll just be like, oh, things are free or whatever. And it's, yeah, you could do that if you were lazy, but I'm trying to have a successful event. The only reason that I'm even having an open house is because we need some new clients. We need new leads. We need to sell some shit. I mean, you can offer an open house even if like you're crushing it. Not that we're not crushing it, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lead generation activity, right? And so if I want that to be successful, then I got to do the shit to actually generate the leads. So I've just been like full on, I feel like a Greenpeace volunteer today because I've printed off flyers that I've been putting under people's car windshield like a fucking task rabbit person, I feel like I should be paying someone for this, but here's the thing, I'm very much a control freak and I just like don't trust people. So I could have paid someone for that, but at the same time, like I can also do it, So I've been literally wandering parking lots like a hobo, actually like a carjacker, approaching people's driver's side door and then sliding my little open house flyer under their windshield wipers. It's such a creepy thing. It's like you do these things because you care, because you have drive, and it's funny like what's important to you, how you're willing to just like demean yourself in various ways. But we'll see. So hopefully that works and that pays off. And then I also took some flyers around to a few different places today. I've got a lot more pavement hitting to do tomorrow. I'm very excited because tomorrow I will be going direct to my direct competitors, and I'm just gonna like litter their clients' cars with these flyers. It's gonna be hilarious. So I have that happening. I'm trying, so I took for a couple months, I was like so burned out on just everything from the last year and tons of events around the holidays, and like we had to close for a few days around Thanksgiving to like get our flooring changed out, and it's like a lot of stuff. So I got really, really burned out for the last couple months, or at the end of the year. And so for the last couple of months, I've sort of like pulled back a little bit. I'm still doing the things that need doing, but I found myself kind of not like full throttle work, like approaching work from a full throttle mindset, of like balls deep every day, all day, like, whatever, which isn't like me, but I'm also a human being because I get fucking worn out, So, anyway, cause then I also hired, I mentioned this before, I hired a new salesperson, and he's doing such a great job. And so I was like, wow, I can like super relax now, because now it's not like if I don't do it, nothing is getting done, which has up until this year kind of sort of in certain ways how it's felt, So, I really took my foot off the gas, and, at this point it's like, all right, we got to get back in. So I'm back on the saddle, and going to be spending a little more time in the studio where it makes sense anyway. So if you live in the area, you probably don't, but if you live in the area and you want to try a class, it's free, but don't fucking bother me if you are not a serious person. Don't waste my time. If you live, an hour away, don't fucking come. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Find a Pure Barre studio closer to you. But, and if you're a client and you come already, if you bring a friend and they sign up for a package, you get a free pair of sticky socks. Like, look at me, doing the Lord's work. Free socks for all. I am the Oprah of Pure Barre. You get a free pair of sticky socks. You get a free pair of sticky socks. If you don't know what the fuck a pair of sticky socks is, then you've clearly never done Pure Barre, but it is basically like our sorting hat. No, I don't know enough Harry Potter references. I was going there and I don't know why, but Suffice it to say, it's a form of currency in our land, and so it's a good deal. If your friend sets up a package, you get a reward. That's cool. So, yeah, that's what's going on this week. And then I'm excited, in a couple of weeks, Kyle and I are going to go to, I want to say, I want to say Orlando, but I don't know if that's right. We're going somewhere in Florida. We're going somewhere in Florida on the Gulf Coast side for whatever the fuck that's worth. It's actually his entire family. We are going on vacation with his entire family. When I say his entire family, I mean like his parents and all of his brothers, their wives, and all of the nephews. We have a family unit on his side in which apparently the only chromosome that exists, well, not the only chromosome combo that you get is an XY. That's it. There's no double X's in this family. It's a lot of boys. Thank God I contain enough estrogen of 100 women, so it helps to balance the playing field. But it's a lot. It's just a lot of dudes, and so all of the people we would be aunt and uncle to, they all have a PP. They're all little boys, so it's like whatever. But you know, they're all boys, and boys aren't my best audience. Let's be honest. So we'll see how it goes. We're gonna be there for like 5 days in an Airbnb. It's actually really nice looking Airbnb. It's like a full beach house with a couple of every room has its own bathroom and also a king bed. Like at least there's a few king beds. Because I don't fucks with a queen bed. I mean, I don't care. I'm sleeping alone this week. And even sometimes I'm still like, this king bed is too small. So and here's the thing. I'm a small sleeper. Like I don't spread out. I don't fucking starfish in the middle of the bed. I am super compact. I like roly-poly my way into my side of the bed. I am teensy. I don't take up a lot of space in the bed. That's how I am, but I need a big bed. And especially if I'm going to share a bed with somebody, I need even more space because I just need more ability to shove you out of my tiny little area. Like, I don't ask for much. I ask for this tiny little corner of the bed, but if you fucking come near me, I'll cut you. So luckily, we'll have a king bed. Because some places you go, you know, this is why I don't always want to stay at people's homes, because some people, if they even have a guest room at all, they might have a queen bed, or fucking worse, a double bed. Don't fucking offer people to stay in your home if you don't have at least a queen bed for them. And even then, make sure they know that it's an option. They don't have to stay with you. So we will have our own bed. We will have our king bed. We will have our own bathroom, and we'll have a TV in the bedroom. Very important for me. You know, this is why I do so well on a podcast, because I am an only child. I'm very good at my time alone. I am confident when it comes to like being by myself. I'm very comfortable with that. I will happily eat alone at a restaurant. Love going to the movies by myself. Haven't done that in way too long, but I also just like don't really go to the movies anymore. But man, I used to love a solo movie trip. You know, you go see whatever the fuck you want to see. You get the movie snacks that you want. No one will share them. It's the best. If you've never seen a movie by yourself, fucking do it. Treat yo movie self. So good. But so I need that. I need that time away from a bunch of people so that it can just be about like me and Vanderpump Rules, you know? But I am looking forward to it because while we take a lot of vacations, we actually haven't had a vacation it's been like, it's easily been 8 months or so. Like we took the last vacation or trip we went on would have been last summer. So yeah, and that's for us, it's a long time. You know, a lot of times there's been years where we're like every other month we're going somewhere and doing something. So we need it. And it's the beach, so that should be good. We have a full fucking kitchen, so we'll be able to cook and stuff. This is one of the things. So normally when we go out of town, we stay in a hotel, and I love a hotel. I love a hotel bathrobe. I love making a mess And then when I come back from a busy day of shopping, and, you know, eating seafood towers, all of my dirty towels have been picked up and replaced with fresh ones. I fucking love a hotel. But sometimes, like when you travel to places that are known for certain kinds of cuisine, you know, I miss having access to a kitchen, because this is actually what we're going to talk about, but I love to cook. So when you're in a place, like if you're like traveling to Europe, when we honeymooned in Greece, and oh my God, I wish, I mean, obviously on my honeymoon, I don't want to fucking like clean and shit, but to be able to like go to a market, a local farmer's market or whatever, and like get the fresh ingredients of that place and then make something like, when we traveled to Napa last summer, I was just like, oh, look at all the bounty, like everything that we get in our grocery stores is grown right here. Like, oh my God, I wish I could cook, you know, or whatever. So I actually am looking forward to the fact that we are staying in a rental property, because we will have a full kitchen, and I can like see if there's, it's actually going to be close-ish to crawfish season. I don't really know if Florida does crawfish, but regardless, they're going to have lots of great seafood. So I don't know. I have no idea what to expect. This is what I'm trying to do. I have zero expectations, except for the fact that I'm going to look fly as hell. And I'm going to do some workouts. I have one work-related phone call that I have to make. And then other than that, I'm just going to like get down with being lazy. I'm sort of looking forward to that. So yeah, that's it. Let's do that quick commercial break. Then when we come back, I'm going to talk about cooking. I'm going to cook it up. We're going to get steamy in the kitchen. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. So, as a reminder, y'all, I do film this. I record the video version of this podcast. I'm trying to hit you from all fucking media touch points. We are a multimedia production. So in the event you are like looking for shit to watch, or I don't know what the use case, TBH, as much as I listen to podcasts, I don't really understand the use case of a video podcast, but I want to make it available to you. I'm just giving you options. Choose your own adventure here. So, okay. So I want to talk about cooking. I don't think I'm going to spend tons of time here, but just some stray thoughts that I've had over the years. So, I have always loved cooking. I've always loved the idea of cooking. I talked about this before, but when I was growing up, I watched the shit out of like the Food Network. I was particularly enthralled with Martha Stewart's show. Martha Stewart's had many shows throughout the years, by the way. I don't even know what they were all called, but I know that you could watch it on Lifetime, Television for Women. I cannot believe that's still their fucking tagline, actually, but I digress. I used to watch it on, I think it was on Lifetime, and then also Food Network. And so she had a version where it was just recipes, and then there was another version where it was like Martha might be cooking in one segment, and then she's fucking like digging in the dirt, planting some herbs, as she likes to call them, in her garden in the next. I don't know why I emphasized garden, but it felt right in my brain. So that one had like, that was like more all-encompassing of women's work. I didn't love that one as much at the time. Like sometimes she'd build like a fucking birdhouse. I was like, this is boring. I'm not into that. But so I loved watching Martha Stewart, loved the cooking and the baking. I'll never forget the episode where she did cookie flooding, like icing flooding on a sugar cookie for Christmas. I get like a hard on thinking about it. It's weird. It's like sexually arousing to me. So, Martha Stewart was a big one that I loved Paula Deen because, you know, she was big personality and she just, I don't know, she was great. Loved Paula Deen. And honestly, I think it's time for a comeback. You know, she did what she did. And not that I want to make excuses for her, but like, whose grandma doesn't use the N-word? You know what I mean? Again, it's wrong. I don't like it. I don't condone it. But she's a white Southern lady from Georgia. Like, are we surprised? Anyway, I feel like it's time for a comeback with her. But I really enjoyed watching Paula Deen, and I remember watching Barefoot Contessa, who is now one of my all-time favorites. But when she first came on the scene, I was like, ugh, boring. And you know what? It's because she is. But she's boring in a really soothing kind of way. It's like ASMR for your eyes and your ears. I mean, ASMR is for your ears, but man, she just turns my brain to mush, and I love it. I just like mashed potatoes in my brain when I watch her. She's hypnotic. And then Pioneer Woman, and then anyway, so it morphed for me from, and then I wanted to cook a lot when I was a kid. I was like always interested in cooking. My mom did cook a good amount, and she baked and stuff. So like I definitely grew up with that in the home, but I always wanted to help. But my mom was like, you know, rightly so, concerned that I was going to fuck up the kitchen. I was going to make it dirty. I was going to put things in the wrong place. And as a very controlling adult woman, I completely understand the concern. But I was allowed to cook for myself or cook something, but the rule was I had to clean up. And so it was like, for some reason at that point in my life, that was enough of a deterrent. And I think that she knew that about me. She exploited me in that way. So I just never cooked, you know? And then I went to college, and I started to kind of dabble here and there. I didn't really know what I was doing, but you know, whatever. I didn't get into it until I was out of college and living on my own. So that's when I started getting into cupcakes. And then I was like, well, I really like looking at them, but I really want to know how to make them myself. And so then I started getting into cooking blogs. Started with a lot of baking blogs, but that eventually kind of morphed and evolved into general cooking. So I could not only like watch the shows about cooking, but then I could also watch and read normal people who just were sharing recipes. Or digging into more detail about like whether it was the science of cooking or like different ingredients or whatever. And I was living in DC, and I lived like in walking distance to a Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's. So I was able to like get access to basically any kind of ingredient that I could ever want on my $35,000 a year salary. Oh my God. The fact that I didn't get evicted, I got close. I got really close. One year, my first year living in DC, I had an apartment. It was a studio apartment. It was a badass location. I was right in DuPont Circle. I'm not talking, I lived in DuPont Circle. I fucking lived on the circle, y'all. I was the milk in the Fruit Loop. It was saucy, and I was dumb because I'm like, I'm doing the math. I'm like, okay, so $1,400 a month is like, what is like 12,000, and then 400 times 12 is about 6,000. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's only like $18,000 a year for rent. I can do that. That leaves me with another 18,000. Math is not my strong suit. So, yeah, that first year, that was dumb. I would just, oh my God. What a good year though. Oh, it was great. It was so great. It was so awful. It was just the best and the worst of times. It was a Charles Dickens novel. I'm not sure if you know this, but A Tale of Two Cities is all about me. It's really called A Tale of Two Titties. I just did a hair flip. You can't see it, but it's going to look great on the video. So, anyway, so I really started to get into cooking more then, and then I'll never forget the first really substantial memory I have of like cooking was when I started dating Kyle. It was our first Valentine's Day together, and I was like, I'm gonna make Cornish game hen. Cornish game hen is just like a tiny little chicken, basically. It's a fucking hen, but they're petite, and it's like a single serving chicken. It's so good. Oh my God, I need to make a fucking Cornish game hen. I haven't made one in a long time, but I was like, I'm going to make Cornish game hen, and then like whatever else. I don't know what else I made, some kind of side, and then I made a dessert or whatever. And I was making like 2 side dishes, I think, to go with it. And I remember, and I got dressed up because, I know the difference between the occasion where it's okay to look like shit and an occasion that calls for a dress up. And I would say that like 90% of like holidays are dress up events. Maybe not the 4th of July or like Arbor Day, but the rest the time, fucking have a little pride in yourself. This weekend I was putting some of those windshield wiper flyers on cars in a church parking lot. I don't go to church ever. And really what I bore witness to this Sunday just doubled down on why I shouldn't, because every fucking person that went into that church was wearing jeans, and not just like, like a tailored structured denim that was like a dress up denim. No. It was like they just rolled out of bed and put on their dirty fucking work jeans from the day before, like a baseball hat. I saw a guy in a tracksuit. Look, again, I don't go to church. I don't know what the fucking rules are, but I'm pretty sure it's called your Sunday best and not your Sunday worst. So anyway, I was dressed up and he was coming over and I was making him this beautiful meal. That was the intention. But like, as I'm working on it, I'm like, wait a second. Wait, my side dish is going to be done. Or no, what was it? I was like, my chicken is going to be done, but I haven't even worked on the side. And oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Like I started freaking out. I had a meltdown. It was classic, hilarious. That's the best, like when you have such high hopes and then it all just comes crashing down, and then you have like a meltdown and you're so upset. And then like 13 years later, you're like, that was hilarious. I'm dumb. That's kind of what that felt like. But what it was me being stressed about the timing of multiple dishes for a single meal. And it was very eye-opening to me. I was like, wait a second, I'm like, how does this work? It felt really confusing to me. So I really started to pay attention at that point to like, okay, what do I need to do first? Or what comes last? When do I need to put this thing in the oven if I want everything to be ready all around the same time? So I bring this up to say, a lot of people tell me they don't like cooking. And I'm like, okay, why don't you like cooking? And I get that some people feel like, you're just genuinely not interested, right? I just don't really care. I literally do not care what I eat. I don't care about my health. Fine. That's fine, right? I'm not going to convince you that you should enjoy cooking. But for other people, it's more that it's not that they don't enjoy cooking. It's that they don't know how to be good at making a meal. And that's very different. That we can work with. I'm like Monica from Cheer. I can work with potential, okay? I see potential. If you have the desire, but you don't have the know-how, I can work with that. I will be the Monica to your Jerry. So it's not, and I get it. It is stressful, but part of it is like, that stress is just coming from you. Nobody is really doing that to you, right? I don't know who you're trying to cook for, especially if you're cooking for yourself, then who the fuck cares? Like, ruin a meal. It's character building. It will teach you more about cooking than any fucking Cook's Illustrated article ever could if you just fuck up a dish. Too salty. Okay, great. Use less salt. Burned it. Definitely didn't cook it at the right temperature. Like, you don't need to necessarily understand all the ins and outs up right at the top. Just like play around. And also there's two types of preparing of food. There is what's called cooking, and then there is what's called baking. Baking is like making a cake, making cookies, preparing, making a bread, baking. I'm trying to think what else is like baking that's not your obvious like desserty things. Baking. I don't know. But like baking does require real precision, okay? If you put in too much or too little flour, guess what? Your recipe is fucked. And there's no coming back from that except for just starting over. Cooking, on the other hand, so different. Cooking is like everything else. Cooking is roasting a chicken. Just because you put something in the oven, by the way, doesn't mean you're baking. So the oven is not what determines baking, I don't think. Hold on. Oh, this is embarrassing. I think baking does require the use of an oven, but it's like, I don't know, it's more precise than that. I don't fucking know what the difference is between baking and roasting, but roasting is like you roast a chicken. People could say, oh, baked chicken or whatever, but it's not baking. It's a different thing. So baking is more like chemistry and science and math and dumb shit like that. Whereas cooking is like, I don't know, let's find out what happens when I put, a curry into mayonnaise. What happens? By the way, throw a little fucking lemon juice and a little cilantro in that bitch, and that's gonna be good, guaranteed. A good sauce or a little, like a marinade or like a spread. Ugh, that sounds great. And I just fucking made that up. And that, my friends, is cooking. You just make shit up. So it's also great. Cooking is good because when you like mess something up, you probably didn't actually mess it up beyond repair. Okay, like a common thing with cooking, for example, is seasoning. People don't get seasoning right a lot of the times, because you either can under season or you can over season. And really it's a crapshoot which kind of seasoner you are. I'm gonna lean a little more to the over seasoner because I like my food to have fucking flavor, and salt is how you get there. Salt and fat is how you get there. But I know a lot of people don't put salt in or they under season, and they're doing that because they're not tasting their food. But like with seasoning, especially like, we'll just keep it simple, right? Salt is one of the basic ingredients of almost anything, any dish you want to cook. You want to roast a chicken, you need salt. You want to saute some spinach, you need some salt, bitch. You know, like, you need salt. It's so important. So you, let's work with sauteed spinach. You're sauteing the spinach, and then like you put, under seasoning is an easy fix. You just put like a little bit more in at a time. Over seasoning though, that's where people like freak the fuck out. So let's say you over season your spinach. You have a few ways you can fix it. You can either add in more spinach, assuming you have more, because we all know that, like, you know, a massive like 12-ounce bag of spinach is going to turn into like 2 forkfuls by the time you actually saute it. But like, add in more of that thing, and then that'll help balance out the ratio of salt to whatever else you're cooking. Now also, spinach is a tough example because like basically the salt's going to concentrate because it's a shrinking thing, and so you get more of that salt per bite. So maybe it's actually a really good example because it's one of the, like, it's a harder one to fix in that way. But yeah, so you can add more spinach, you could add more you could add lemon juice so that acidity will balance out some of the saltiness. It gives it that bright flavor. You could even add in like an actual fruit. You could dice up apple. Apple would go really nicely. Even citrus, you could add in some orange wedges. What else would be nice? Whatever. But you get the idea, right? It's like, with cooking, it's kind of just like, you feel as you go. Feel it out. So you can fix mistakes pretty easily as long as you just kind of understand what is it that you need to balance out. So that's one of the first things. 2, like I said earlier, taste your fucking food. Like, the whole point is to eat it. You need to taste as you make your food. So make sure you're tasting it with a clean utensil. If you're preparing food for other people, don't be a nasty bitch. But you need to taste your sauce, you need to taste a piece of your steak, or you need to try the eggs, or like whatever it is that you're making. Before you actually sit down and put it on a plate and just start to eat, you should know what every item on the plate will taste like, because you've been trying it, whether it's the marinade or the herbs or the finished product or whatever. Like, I make mashed cauliflower all the time, and I crush mashed cauliflower. I dare you to not like my mashed cauliflower. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you won't even know. I mean, you may know, but you're also going to be like, this is bomb ass, because it is. And do you know why? It's because I taste it as I make it. Ooh, that is catchy. Ooh, taste it as you make it. Well, that's exactly what it is. You taste it as you go. So I start by steaming my cauliflower, and then I take it and I remove it and I put it into either a blender or an empty pot, and then I add in my seasonings: butter for the fat and for flavor, and then a fuck ton of salt. And if you're worried about what a fuck ton of salt is, because I know that's not like an approximate measurement, then start small and add over time, right? Like, maybe start with 1 teaspoon. I'm talking about mashed cauliflower, by the way. Be careful about just generically adding a teaspoon of salt to things you're making. But like, with mashed cauliflower, it needs a lot. If you're using an entire head of cauliflower, I probably do like 1 to 2 tablespoons of salt in an entire an entire a batch. And that will make many servings, okay? So you're not actually sitting down and eating a tablespoon of salt as a single serving. It's across the entire batch. But it takes a lot. Cauliflower tastes like shit by itself. It kind of tastes like a fart, you know? It's gross. So it needs some help. So I add in the butter. I add in my salt. I might add in a little garlic powder or even a fresh garlic clove if I'm feeling really fancy. And then a little splash of milk. And then I immersion blender all of that together. And then I taste it. I taste it to see is the texture right? Does it need more salt? Does it need another herb? Whatever. Does it need a little, whatever, all that stuff. So that's where you start to make those adjustments. Same thing if you're making like a casserole. Like let's say you're going to make a spaghetti squash Italian style casserole and you're using a sauce. Doesn't matter if your marinara or your pasta sauce comes from a jar or you make it yourself, still taste it. Like I use stuff from a jar often, not like maybe all the time, but I do use pre-made things. But I still taste them because sometimes they're under seasoned for my liking. So if I taste a pasta sauce and it doesn't have enough flavor, then I'll put it on the stove really fast and I'll add in some garlic or some really good olive oil or maybe a little red pepper flake and zhuzh it up and it tastes so much better. And you know, like those are the kinds of things you need to be doing for everything you cook, and it will taste better in the end when you bring it to the plate. So the first is seasoning. The second is taste your food. The third is like knowing the right preparation of your food. And what I mean by that is like, are you making a steak? Okay, well, how should the steak be prepared? And steak is a very polarizing one because some people out there with no fucking taste buds will ask for a steak well done. Those people don't deserve steak. Fuck those people, don't make them steak. A good steak especially, should be served, well, even bad steaks, more important even for bad steaks probably, but steak should be served medium rare. And frankly, the rarer, in my opinion, the better. I know that's going to piss off some people. Medium is like it. There are some restaurants that will not even prepare you a steak at medium. And to them, I say, bravo. Like, it's like, what's it like? It's like me saying, can I get a cigarette, but with no tobacco or nicotine? That's what it's like. You don't do it. I mean, granted, that is how cigarettes should come because cigarettes are fucking disgusting and they will kill you. But it defeats the purpose. So don't do that. But like knowing how things should be prepared. Same with fish. There are some fish is usually cooks pretty quick. And so some people really hate fish or shrimp because I find in most cases it's because it's not prepared correctly. It's way overcooked. It's all dried out. Like mushrooms, same kind of thing. A lot of people have an issue with mushrooms. And because probably A, you've only ever eaten white mushrooms or button mushrooms, and those are kind of boring. Or B, because they've been cooked to fucking shit, you know? They're all shriveled up and mushy and they have no flavor anymore. So it's like, yeah, no, of course you don't like that stuff. I find that people who have food peculiarities or are picky eaters, especially as an adult, is because they don't know what good food should taste like. And it's both the taste and the texture is usually or sometimes because of the way that the food was prepared. If you are, broccoli is another example. Raw broccoli is tough to swallow, literally. It's a funky flavor. And it's also very cruciferous. So it can be hard to like actually get down when it's in its raw state. So there's different ways you can prepare broccoli to make it more delicious. So, you can blanch it or steam it. You can actually, asparagus is very nice blanched. It's cooked until it's just tender. And then you shock it in ice water in an ice bath so that it keeps its color and it stops the cooking at that point. So you can't get any more cooked than where it was. Because asparagus actually does well with a little bit more firmness. Like mushy asparagus is like, ugh. But like broccoli, you may need it you might enjoy it more if it's like in a soup or a stew. Broccoli cheese soup, for example, is a great example. It's it's cooked to hell by that point. But like, that might be a way to get a kid to eat broccoli, you know what I mean? Or broccoli fritters. You have to steam it to the point that you can actually like maybe puree it in a food processor. So my point here is just to say, like, make sure you have an understanding of like whether something needs to be barely cooked at all, like an ahi tuna steak, you just sear it really fast on both sides. It's only got two on both sides. Or something like, cauliflower or broccoli, which needs to be fork tender, generally speaking. You don't want crunchy broccoli unless you're making like a broccoli salad, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm not even sure what this is. I don't know if these are tips. I don't know if I'm giving you advice, or mostly if I'm just rambling. But this is all to say, if you have any interest in getting control over your diet, or you want to eat better, or you're looking to lose weight, you want to change your body composition, I hate to break it to you, but honestly, the best way to control your nutrition or to take control of it is to make your own food. And you don't have to be a Michelin star chef, right? You can be an ordinary person who maybe only has like 3 or 4 things that they can do well, but otherwise like makes halfway okay food. That's fine. But you're gonna enjoy what you're eating a hell of a lot more if it tastes good. And oh, by the way, if you eat a variety of things. I know a lot of people will meal prep on Sunday. Usually it's Sunday because that's like for the average person, the work week is Monday to Friday. A lot of people will meal prep. And they'll prep like a fuck ton of chicken breasts. They'll prep like broccoli or sweet potatoes or whatever. And then they'll make their eggs or their egg muffins for the week. And they will literally have that 5 days in a row. And actually, it's probably more like 2.5, because holy fucking shit, if I had to eat the exact same meals for 5 days in a row, I'd rather starve to death. Like, I can't do that. Not only is that not palatable anymore, but it's actually not great for the biodiversity needs of your gut. So, and that's a totally different topic, but like, your body needs variety in what it eats. I understand if you think you're doing a great job in meal prepping at the start of the week for all 5 days, but you might not actually be doing yourself a favor. So be careful with that. I'm a big fan of like making extra, like making 2 servings worth of, or 2 meals worth of dinner. And then I repurpose the leftovers either as lunch, or maybe we eat them again for dinner, or I totally reinvent the whole thing, because that helps me like slightly cook less, but then also still keep my meals interesting. So like an example of that would be, I might roast my chicken on a Sunday because I have the time, and a roasted chicken does usually take at least an hour and a half most times, if not a little longer, but about an hour and a half depending on the size. And so I need some time for that. That's not necessarily the easiest weeknight meal, but it allows me to roast a chicken. And then even after Kyle and I have eaten dinner, there's still like a good amount of chicken left. So I can either easily just eat that leftover chicken the next day, or I can prepare it as a salad. I can literally make chicken salad with it. I could put it in a soup or a stew, like whatever. You can reinvent it into a million different things. And so that's my preference where food prep is concerned, so that like I don't have to cook every single day, but I'm still able to get some of that variety in. So my reason for wanting to talk about cooking was because A, I fucking love cooking and I'm just very self-indulgent like that. But B, if you don't think you like cooking, or if you don't think you can cook, there are just a few things that you could start with that you can turn the dial enough so that cooking doesn't feel like such a chore, or you don't feel like your food is bad. You know, like if you think that McDonald's can make better food than you, then we got a big fucking problem. So take stock of that kind of shit. If you think food out is better than food at home, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there are plenty of restaurants that I wouldn't even deign to compare my cooking to. But like, I do not believe, generally speaking, that the food I can get at a restaurant is superior to me. Now, there's plenty, like, you know, I'm not going to get it. The point is, like, there's plenty of things I don't know how to make. I'm not good at, like, Cajun food. I don't know how to do a shrimp or a fucking crawfish boil. That's not my forte. I'm cooking regular food for us on a daily, kind of nightly basis. But, like, yeah, I'm not going to go to fucking Applebee's and think, wow, ooh, wow, they cooked the shit out of this chicken. I can't touch this. Abso-fucking-lutely not. Absolutely not. You know who can't touch this? Them. Applebee's, MC Hammer style, can't touch this. All right? And with a few of these tactics, these ideas, these things that just get your mind thinking creatively a little bit, just a little bit, you too could be a better cook. You know, I often make up my recipes. I don't work, I do occasionally work from a recipe, but generally, like, when I'm coming up with what I want to eat for the night, it's like, what the fuck do I actually want to eat? That's where I start. And I'm like, you know what I really want to eat? I really want to eat some fucking fried chicken. But I'm not going to make fried chicken because it's not the healthiest thing. So then I start thinking, well, if I want to have fried chicken, how could I prepare chicken in such a way that it makes it feel like I'm eating fried chicken, but it's not as bad for me? And then I'll think, like, okay, well, if I need chicken, so I have chicken breast, chicken thighs, whatever it is, drumsticks, whatever. Well, I need something crunchy to put on the outside. What could I do? What's crunchy that's kind of within the realm of how I like to eat? Well, plantain chips are crunchy. Pork rinds are crunchy. Siete chips are crunchy, right? These are all things that would fit within the parameters of what I deem to be nutritious, nutrient-dense food, or at least options that are healthier than just plain old white flour. Okay, well, great. So I'll use some plantain chips. I'll crush those up. They've got to stick to the chicken. How will I make that happen? I could do an egg wash, or what else, you know? And then, like, I often use mayonnaise and Dijon mustard as, like, my binding agent, you know? So it's just shit like that. I work from my end goal, which is, what the fuck do I actually want to eat? And then I just kind of, like, work backward to figure out, how do I get it to taste like that? And sometimes it works out awesome. And other times it doesn't. And that's okay. You know, my husband is a human garbage disposal, and he's a nice guy. So even if it's awful, he'll usually still sit there and eat it with a smile, because he's just happy he didn't have to make food. And also that he's married to this. So okay, that's enough. But I hope that helps a little bit. I hope that gives you maybe just a teensy more confidence in the kitchen. If you have questions on that in particular, let me know. And if you're interested, I do have a few cooking videos on my YouTube. They're older, but they're still good. Yeah. And by the way, like, I really want to get back into making cooking shows. Like, I had a quote cooking show that I called Paleo No She Didn't. And I liked the whole premise of that. It's just, videos are a lot of fucking work, y'all. So, you know, I don't necessarily have the full capacity to do that. But in the meantime, if you do have questions, or if you do want to see my kind of like mini versions of my cooking show, you can find a bunch of shit like that on my Instagram. That's where you'll find me most of the time. My Instagram name is Cupcakes OMG, with an S and OMG spelled all the way out. And if you liked the podcast, or if you hated it, then that's okay. But if you just would do me a solid and maybe tell a friend who wouldn't hate it that it exists, that'd be cool. And then make sure you subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Subscribe, rate 5 stars, leave a rating, all that good shit. The more you do, the more I do. And that's what makes this a symbiotic relationship. It's probably much more like a parasitic relationship, but potato, potato. All right, well, that's it. That's all. That's everything. That's right, bitches. Until next time, toodaloo.